Hey everyone, Mini Game Dev here. Today I'm going over my new Unreal Engine 5 plugin, SimpleGameStats, available now in Fab. I've created an example project for this plugin that's available on GitHub. The link is in the description. I have the example open, and you can see the Plugins Editor tab is open as well. This tab will show live game stats while you're playing in the editor. The example project is tracking 3 stats: game time, enemies defeated, and guns collected. As I'm playing through the example, you can see the game time is increasing, and when I defeat enemies or collect a new type of gun, those stats are also increasing. In the output log window, I have log statements that are running every time I reach a milestone. This is another type of data point tracked by the plugin, and you can use milestones to create achievements for your game. Alright, I've defeated both enemies and collected all 3 guns that are available in the level. So let's look at this more closely. In the Editor tab, I can click these drop-down arrows to display a stats list of milestones. While the number to the right of a stat is the current value, the milestone displays its target value. Every time a milestone is reached, an event is published by the plugin, so it's super simple to tie into your achievement systems. Now that you've seen the plugin in action, let's start a fresh project so you can see how easy it is to set up simple game stats for your project. I'm creating a fresh Unreal Engine 5.6 project using the first-person template. I already have the plugin in my library, so I can enable it from the plugins menu. Once you purchase the plugin on Fab, it'll show up on the Unreal Engine launcher and you can install it from there. With the fresh project created and my plugin installed, you can see the Editor tab is already open and ready to go. If it's not already open, once the plugin is installed, you'll have a new option under the window menu to open it. The first step is to set up a definitions data asset. Right-click in the content browser, go to Miscellaneous, then Data Asset, and search SimpleGameStats definition. This data asset is going to hold all the stats tracked by SimpleGameStats. For this fresh project, I'm going to add the game time stat you saw in the example. Each stat definition in this asset has 5 data points. The first is the stat name. This is what uniquely identifies each stat and must be unique. Second, there's the localized stat name and description. If you want to display stats to the player, you can use these for the display values, and it works with Unreal string tables. Next is the default value. This is just the starting value for the stat. You'll most likely want this to be 0, but it's there if you need it. And last is the array of milestones. Milestones are similar to stats. They each need a unique name and support localized names and descriptions. The target value is what determines whether or not the player has reached that milestone. For this stat, I'm going to configure 2 milestones, one for 10 seconds of gameplay and one for 20 seconds of gameplay. I'm omitting the localized fields since I'm not going to use them here. Now, with the data asset set up, let's start tracking the game time stat we've configured. I'm going to place this functionality for this project in the game mode blueprint. I don't recommend this approach for every game, but it'll work in this example. To start tracking stats, you'll need to register the data asset with the SimpleGameStats subsystem. If you're not familiar with Unreal's subsystems, I put a link in the description. The subsystem has a register game stats function, and I'm calling this on event begin play. It takes the data asset as a parameter and will register all the stats we've defined with the subsystem. Next, we'll increment the value using event tick and the increment stat function. Every function that interacts with stats on the subsystem requires the unique stat name. I recommend creating a stats constants class that holds all the names of your stats, so you don't have to deal with magic strings. I show how to do this in the example project on GitHub. And that's the entire setup. Let's compile and save the blueprint. Once the game is running in the editor, we can see the game time stat is working exactly as it did in the previous example project. Before we cover the last topics, let's inspect the output log window. You'll see that the SimpleGameStats editor log is actually outputting errors. This is happening because automatic refresh is enabled, but the game is not running in the editor. So it can't find a world object needed to query the SimpleGameStats subsystem. Don't worry, nothing's broken, and this is intended. Once automatic refresh is disabled, the error log will stop. Let's cover the last 2 topics. First is how can you connect this to an achievement system. SimpleGameStats doesn't automatically connect to Steam or Epic systems. Instead, there's a milestone reached event you can subscribe to. It passes the stat and the milestone when the event is fired, and you can use this to connect to any other system you need. Lastly is storage. The plugin doesn't persist game stats to disk either. Instead, there are two functions, get storage and inflate from storage. The plugin provides a storage struct you can use with your uSaveGame subclass. And when loading your game, you can pass the same struct back to the subsystem to load all your previous stats and values. For more information on all of this, be sure to check out the docs on GitHub. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of plugins planned, so be sure not to miss any. See you in the next one.